Chapter 261, Sacrificial Ceremony. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Although the power of the Thunder Pearl wasn't strong enough to kill the Fire Cloud Wolf, it was slowed down. At that very moment, Zhang Yuochen took out the war map. Under the surge of genuine chi, the inscriptions carved on the war map was lit up. 10 purple-horned beasts charged out from the map and attacked the Fire Cloud Wolf. The fighting power of every purple-horned beast was equal to a warrior at the completion of the Earth Realm. Zhang Yuochen seized the chance and retreated backward. He ran into the array and escaped back to the Ji City. When he first entered the array, a loud noise broke out behind him which shook the entire defender array hard. In just that moment, the Fire Cloud Wolf had already killed the 10 purple-horned beasts and had caught up with him. It stretched out its arms and almost scratched Zhang Yuochen's back. Fortunately, its claw had been blocked by the array, otherwise, Zhang Yuochen would no doubt be seriously wounded. Such a powerful Fire Cloud Wolf, it handled all 10 purple-horned beasts in a flash. Zhang Yuochen crawled up from the ground exhaustedly and looked at the war map in hand. He realized that the dazzling light on the war map had dimmed. The power of the war map would be reduced after every use. If Zhang Yuochen activated the graph of purple-horned beast again, he could only release 10 purple-horned beasts at the dawn state of the Earth Realm. If he charged it for the third time, he could probably only release 10 purple-horned beasts at the initial stage of the Earth Realm. After taking the healing pill, Zhang Yuochen rushed towards the altar in the city center. He took out the 2 storage bracelets and the savage beasts stored in the storage ring and placed them on the altar. 27 dead bodies of savage beasts in total stacked up like a little mountain of bloody bodies. After that, he returned to the city center again and collected all the dead savage birds that had been taken down by the array. Once again, he placed 178 dead bodies of savage birds on the altar. There are not enough savage beast and savage birds, I have to go and hunt some more. Zhang Yuochen sat cross-legged at the bottom of the altar and started healing his injuries. After an hour, he had recovered 50% from his wounds. He stopped healing. He carried the Abyss Ancient Sword, ran out from the defender array and hunted more savage beasts. What differed from the previous situation was that Zhang Yuochen was not going to attack the 4th level savage beast on purpose. On the contrary, he could hide from them as well as hunting the lower level savage beasts. Boom! Zhang Yuochen flicked a Thunder Pearl out. The lightning released had killed more than 10 first-level savage beasts. Their bodies were burnt and scattered everywhere. He rushed over immediately and stored the dead bodies in the storage ring. Just as a 4th-level savage beast, a lion-head ox head, charged out, Zhang Yuochen had already escaped back to Ji City ahead of it. After putting the savage beasts on the altar, Zhang Yuochen left the city secretly from another exit and continued hunting. What is Zhang Yuochen thinking? Perhaps he thinks his speed in hunting savage beast would be faster than my speed in summoning savage beast? Link Xiansu stared downwards and looked confused. He didn't understand what Zhang Yuochen was doing. Link Xiansu would never be able to understand why Zhang Yuochen wanted to hunt as many savage beasts as he could in preparation for the sacrificial ceremony held in the Ji City. Every time Zhang Yuochen left the city, Link Xiansu ordered a 4th-level savage beast to kill him. However, Zhang Yuochen was very crafty and he hid near the city wall every time. Then, he released either the Thunder Pearl or the war map, killed a bunch of savage beasts and stored them in the storage bracelet. By nightfall, there were already 477 dead bodies of savage beasts accumulated on the altar and they formed a bloody mountain. The blood of the savage beast, as well as the blood of the 100,000 human warriors in the Ji City, should be enough to open the door of heaven and finish the sacrificial ceremony. Zhang Yuochen said excitedly. Generally, in Kunlun's field, the winter solstice was the best time for the sacrificial ceremony. Rumor had it that the distance between the spiritual field and the Kunlun's field was the closest on winter solstice. Therefore, the door of heaven could be easily opened. Even if it was only a small-scale sacrifice in a village, the door of heaven would also be opened. Yet, once the winter solstice had passed, the door of heaven would be difficult to open. Only if using 100 times more spiritual blood was used could the door of heaven be opened and the sacrificial ceremony completed. Outside the city, the attack of the savage beasts became more and more aggressive. They had already shattered down parts of the wall. The holy light of the defender array was becoming weaker and weaker. There was a tiny mountain 100 kilometers away from the G-City. On the top of the mountain stood two human shadows. The leader looked like he was in his 20s, with sharp eyebrows and eyes like an eagle, a straight nose, and a bright gaze. He gave off the sense of being handsome and severe. That was Jiang Tangai, the #1 god's pride of the 36 commanderies in the Omen Ridge. At this moment, Lu Qian-kun, who ranked third among the internal students of the Yuntai suzerain, was staring at the G-City. He asked, unsettled, "Senior brother, the defender array of the G-City is going to fall down soon. It is time for us to strike." Jiang Tangai placed his arms behind his back and responded while shaking his head gently, "Just wait, we're not in a rush." "Why?" Lu Qian-kun was confused. Jiang Tangai put up a smile on his face and said, "It's not yet the right time." Lu Qian-kun was a straightforward and honest person who didn't understand Jiang Tangai's plan. Certainly, they had to rescue people, but most importantly, how would they be rescued and when should they act? Han Kui hadn't been put in a dangerous situation at all. If they saved her now, they wouldn't be able to maximize the advantage. It was to say, if Jiang Tangai appeared when she was facing the real danger and feeling helpless, she would be a lot more appreciative and touched by him. In order to dominate woman, some tricks had to be used, otherwise how could they be so obedient? An idiot like Lu Qian-kun would never understand why he did that. This was the only chance for Jiang Tangai to win Han Ku's heart. He would definitely seize this opportunity. Seems like Jiang Yuochen is also staying in the G-City. That's perfect. Let's destroy him as well. Anyhow, letting him stay alive will be a disaster for us. Jiang Tangai looked exceptionally calm. He gazed towards the G-City in the distance and a glimmer of self-confidence shone from his eyes. He decided to wait until the perfect moment to attack. The fight in the G-City was so brutal that Han Ku activated the attack arrays and killed numerous savage beasts and savage birds. Another hour had passed. The energy of the 5 attacking arrays were all consumed. There were only 2 arrays left in the entire G-City. The defense strategy in the defender array. It's only a matter of time for those arrays to be broken. Han Ku stood on the wall, looking at the countless savage beasts which were rushing towards her. She felt exhausted and said worriedly, "What should we do now?" Jiang Yuochen, the reinforcements of the school of the martial market and the Yuntai suzerain hasn't arrived yet. I guess the defense strategy can only withstand the time of a burning joss stick at most. We'll have to take a risk. If we can break through to a higher realm, perhaps we will be able to kill them all and leave the city. Jiang Yuochen walked onto the stone gate underneath the altar and arrived at the edge of the sacred pool. He recited a piece of funeral oration from memory. At the same time, he pressed his hands on the stone wall so that the spiritual fire genuine chi in his body poured out from his palm. It spread out gradually and covered the entire altar. The sacrificial ceremony now begins. Boom! The colossal altar started rotating slowly. A bloody beam of red light surged out from the center of the altar. It shattered the clouds in the sky as if it had charged into the boundless universe. The sky had fully turned red. In the center of the piece of red, it seemed like a large door was opened. It was chaos around the door. Light rain fell down and sprinkled Ivory City. Jiang Yuochen sat cross-legged on the ground and started communicating with the vessel of spirit. A streak of light shot out from the top of his head. It formed a spiritual shadow that looked exactly like Jiang Yuochen. The spiritual shadow flew out and floated above the sky of the sacred pool. It started absorbing the power of sacrifice that swam in the air. Han Ku stood aside. She didn't know what Jiang Yuochen was going to do. She was absolutely shocked when the martial soul surged out from Jiang Yuochen's body. Her face was frozen as if she had been petrified and her lips also fell into an O shape. He practiced the martial soul. Not a lot of warriors at the myth of martial arts of the heaven realm were capable of practicing the martial soul. Yet, Jiang Yuochen had made it while he was only in the earth realm. Moreover, Jiang Yuochen's martial soul looked extremely weird as if it was an illusory image of gods. Even Han Kui had an urge to kneel down and worship him. The martial soul that floated in the air above the sacred pool glanced at Han Kui and said, "What are you waiting for? Come and sit in front of me now. I'm going to transfer part of the sacrifice power into your body." With the help of the sacrifice power, Perhaps it could neutralize the two powers inside your body and ease the danger that you've encountered during your practice. Hanku could feel the oppression displayed by Zhang Yuochen's martial soul. It was as if she received the order of gods and walked next to Zhang Yuochen willingly. She sat cross-legged opposite Zhang Yuochen, raised her snow-white arms and connected with Zhang Yuochen's hands. Boom! When she touched Zhang Yuochen's hands, she felt an electric shock. A strand of sacrifice power entered her body aggressively from her right hand. It surged into her meridians and towards her chi. While the sacrifice power was surging through her body, she felt like she was a leaf floating in the sea and that her body would be torn apart any moment by that power. Don't panic. Keep yourself calm and activate the Holy Universe-reaching skills. Try to absorb the sacrifice power. Just as Hanku was feeling frightened, Zhang Yuochen's voice entered her brain like the voice of God. Eventually, Hanku calmed herself. She closed her eyes and started activating the exercise like Zhang Yuochen said. The sacrifice power was the most spiritual of power. At the same time, it contained the most tolerant power. After entering her meridians, it rotated a large circle of vital energy around her body and returned to Zhang Yuochen's meridians through her left hand. The sacrifice power ran inside her body once again and completed a large circle of vital energy one after one. Her meridians slowly absorbed the power and her martial arts realm was constantly elevating. Inside her chi, the dark genuine chi was confronting the Holy Universe reaching genuine chi. They became weaker as if they were going to blend together. Two types of genuine chi had transformed into a black and white genuine chi wave, rotating in her meridians along with the sacrifice power.